Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be trying out the Melt Mary Jane palette. So I have a bunch of Melt palettes, really love their formula, especially their mattes, but I held off on getting this when it came out because it seemed to be universally not liked. People said it was difficult to work with and they didn't like the shimmers especially. So I held off, but I recently was able to get this on sale for about half off and I've tried it a couple times. So I have some thoughts. This is not a first impression, but I want to try it on camera, see what I think, and see if it is as bad as everybody made it out to be. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I am a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a soft spot for indie makeup and apparently luxury makeup now. And I tend to be pretty analytical in the way I approach my makeup collection and my reviews. And I have new content every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. Okay, so this is the Mary Jane palette. There's lots of videos. This is not a new palette. I am going to start doing more videos on older palettes that I've used a lot, like a revisiting series. This is not quite that because this isn't a revisit. I haven't had this that long. But I do want to try this out on camera, see what I think. I didn't do any other makeup just in case I get some fallout because that seems to be a common complaint about this palette. So I haven't done my base yet. Definitely will be doing a base today. Some days I can get away with just like under eye concealer and maybe a couple concealer spots, but I definitely have some redness from shading today. So I will do that later. I'm also not gonna swatch this because there's lots of swatches out there, but I do wanna talk about the palette a little bit before I go into it. So this is the palette. I'm sure you've all seen it. I do really love the design of this. I think the smoky look of it is really beautiful, and I like the sparkly glitter that's in this. The raised lettering is fine. I feel like it makes it not flush with the other palettes, so that's a little annoying, but it's fine. I do think I've seen a lot of complaints about this on Instagram, on YouTube, and sometimes I think that's pretty much it. And I think my initial thoughts about those complaints are people say that it's hard to work with. There's a lot of fallout. There's two topper shades that people pretty much universally don't like, but I don't think people like toppers in general, at least in the YouTube space. And a lot of people just didn't understand the palette. So the name Mary Jane is obviously a drug reference. They do that a lot. But this one specifically is smoke themed. They themed it around smoke. It was in all of the promos. It was in the description of the palette and the collection. And a lot of the complaints I saw, especially from white people, was that it was too smoky, that you could only do a smoky eye with this, and it was too dark and they couldn't get an everyday look with it. And I was like, well, that's the theme. If you don't like a smoky eye, why are you buying a smoky eye palette? Like, they have other palettes and lots of other brands of other palettes that are not as dark as this. Like, it's in the promo, it's in the shades, like you can see it by looking at it. None of this was gonna be an easy wash of color, you know, daily friendly look. This is all smoky tones. Like, looking at this, it is all smoky tones, and the little plastic thing fell. The lightest shade is this one here, which they describe as a buffing out shade, not a transition shade. They specifically said it's to buff out the edges. It's very dark. It's very smoky. If you don't like that, why buy? I have a lot of opinions. I'm working on a unpopular opinions video, so that'll be coming soon. But it's a smoky palette. I love a smoky eye. It's my go-to. And I also really like these tones. So you've got kind of neutral to cool tones here. You've got some more gray kind of shimmers here. And then these kind of olivey tone shades, I could not dupe. I tried. My friend Steven tried. He got this on sale as well. He swatched it. There was a lot of talk and like we couldn't come up with dupes. So that's when I saw it was like 50, 60% off, something like that. I was like, I'm getting it. I'm finally gonna get it. So very happy that I can finally try this. And I have some thoughts about the topper shades, but I'll get into that at the end of the video. I'm just gonna start trying this out. I'm gonna put some Urban Decay primer on my eyes and then get started. Okay, so I pulled you a little closer so you can see I am going to use the mirror in the palette, and I do think if you wanted to, I think the two best shades to start out with would either be this shade or this shade. This one's a little more green, this one's a little more neutral. I'm gonna go with this one because I really want to use Sweet Lucy, which is the shimmer that most people complained about. These ones are more just metallic, like they're standard metallic, which people don't love. I don't mind them, but those, you know, those aren't the ones that people had issue with. Plus, these tones are why I really wanted the palette in the first place, so I'm gonna try this out. So I'm gonna grab this shade here and start putting it in the outer corner and into my crease. So this is a rougher one brush. I'm gonna use this. It is a little stained. I need to wash my brushes, but it's cleaned off. And this is the kind of shade I like, shape of brush. I like to start with this kind of look, where I'm gonna pick up a bit of that matte, picks it very well, tap off always. I think a lot of people need to tap off more than they do. And then I'm gonna put that on the outer corner and blend it into the crease a little bit. And this is my favorite shape for that because it's got a little bit of a flat edge. So I can tap it right here. Also, someone has decided to start leaf blowing across the street, so you might hear that, and I apologize. But I am filming while my husband is getting a haircut, and so I don't have a lot of time. Okay, so really like this olivey tone. I have lots of olives, but I don't really have an olive brown like this. So I'm dipping in a little bit more, and I'm just going to lightly tap and then blend. Okay, I really like this color. I really like this undertone. I'm gonna use the same brush and pick up a little bit of Mari, the really light shade, and use it as intended to just kind of dust over the edges and make sure that the blend is nice. So I made sure I didn't go too high up so that I still have room to blend. If you have limited space for that kind of a technique, I would say keep it directly in your crease and then blend it above your crease with the shade. Okay, I really like the blend. It looks really nice, especially in person. I'm grabbing into this, just another fluffy brush, and I'm just going over everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and repeat this on the other side, and I'll be right back. Okay, and so I think I'm gonna make it a little bit smokier. This is not that smoky. I think this is a pretty easy, like dark but not too dark kind of a look. I'm gonna take a little bit of Sinsemilla, which is the darkest shade, on this little brush, and I'm just gonna put a little bit right here on the lash line. I don't wanna blend it into the crease really and add too much drama. I'm keeping it really just on the lash line. And you can see it just adds a little bit of depth, but it's not making everything too smoky. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into the Sweet Lucy shade. I'm not gonna use a wet brush. I tend to not do that. I think glitter glue is probably your best bet if you are really worried about fallout. I'm gonna try and go in and see what happens with just a brush or just my finger. I also think the brush shape really matters for this. So I'm gonna use this. This is the Refer 21 brush, and you can see it's really flat, really densely packed. It is natural hair, or I think this is actually natural and synthetic, but it is very, very dense. So most of the time I see people apply shimmers with something like, I don't know, the Sigma brush. This is a shader brush, and you can see it's much more fluffy. And I do like that for something like a Pat McGrath shimmer, because you can kind of use the edge, the fluffiness of it to kind of blend the edges. But for something that's more textured, that's just gonna cause more fallout. A sparkly shadow, like a Kaleidos kind of shadow or something like this, it's just gonna cause more fallout, which if you're doing your base after, is not the biggest deal. But in general, that's gonna cause more fallout. Using something that's really densely packed is going to give you less fallout in general, because there's not fluffy bristles pushing the product all over. You're more packing it on. So I'm gonna pick up Sweet Lucy with this brush. I'm gonna try it with the brush, see what happens. And I'm just gonna put that on this eye. So it is definitely a textured shimmer. And you can see where I put it it stuck pretty nicely just to my lid, but there's a little bit of sparkle next to it. And I'm just gonna try and pat this on to my lid. I think a finger would probably be the best option, but I know not everybody wants to use their finger. Or can, because they have long nails or something. This over glitter glue would be really beautiful because it would really emphasize the sparkle. And I might do that on the other eye just to kind of see. So that looks fine. I would say I don't have any fallout at all, which is nice. I have a couple speckles of sparkle in my inner corner, but nothing down here. And it's a really interesting shape. Like the texture in it really catches the light. So it's kind of a olivey, it's kind of the same color as this, but then it's got a brighter gold sparkle that's catching the light. I'm gonna try my finger and see how that looks as well. You can see, picks up a lot. I love this color. So I'm just hoping the formula is also the same. I picked up a lot, so I'm being very careful and kind of tapping. I'm letting the warmth of my finger kind of melt it in. Okay, so I did get a little fallout from doing it with my finger, so I have a little bit right here that I'm gonna need to clean up. I'm gonna grab glitter glue and try that on the other eye and see what I think as well. And if this side ends up being a little overly sparkly, more than this, it's not a big deal. I'm just hanging out with my husband and my best friend today, so not really too worried about them being that different. So I'm grabbing a little bit of glitter glue on this brush. This is a different brush. Some people use the same for both the shimmer and the glitter glue, and that will help, but I find it makes me have to wash the brush more, and it just gets really gross. So I don't like to do that. And then I'm gonna pick up some of Sweet Lucy again on the brush and tap it onto the glitter glue. Okay, so I definitely like the side with glitter glue more. I think both look pretty, but you can see a little bit more of the shine on this side, and I have zero fallout. So glitter glue, I think, would be key to having it be the easiest, but this was also fine. Like, I have a little bit right here I need to wipe off before I put my base on, but really not that bad. So I am gonna go off camera real quick, finish my base, and I will be right back. Okay, so I went off camera and I did my base. It was really easy to use a little bit of micellar water to wipe away the little bit of fallout that was here. I had nothing over here. And then I just did my Fenty skin tint, the Eaze Drop, because I wasn't feeling like I needed a lot of coverage. And then I used just, you know, the redness right here. And then I used a little bit of my Kosas concealer here and for the red spots from shaving here. The look is almost done. The only thing I want to do is I want to take a little bit of Mari on this. This is a typical shader, what most people use for shimmers. I tend to use these for under my eyes. So I do want to add just a little bit of shadow under here, underneath my lashes, but I don't want, I could use this if I want gas bar, if I want to go really smoky, but this is a smoky eye, but like, for me, this is a daily friendly smoky eye. I didn't use black, I didn't use like a really dark gray. So I am using the really light Mari shade just to make sure that there's a little bit of definition under my eye. Okay, so that is the finished look. This is a daily friendly look for me. I would teach in this. I really like this. So you've got the wash of the olivey brown, you've got the olive shimmer. I really love this. I was actually not expecting to love this look as much as I did. I did try out the shade before, just like playing around, not doing a full look, and I didn't really have an issue. So I'm glad to see that it worked fine as well today in using the two different finger brush, glitter glue, non-glitter glue. I like to try multiple methods on a product to see what works best, what, you know, I like variables and comparisons. I am a scientist. And then for lips, I just put Clinique Black Honey on. I got that trial size when I bought some, you know, skincare stuff, and I really love it. Like when this trial size is gone, I'm probably gonna buy a full size. This is like a perfect everyday lip. And I think with a more toned down kind of lip tint, I would wear this every day. I'm gonna wear this today. I think it looks really pretty. I'm really happy with this. For the toppers, I did mention, I've already tried those. I've worn them a couple times, and I did film something the other day, so I'll insert it here. I've done it with the Haus Labs paint, the brown one, Cocoa, and I've done it with the eyeliner from Melt, both the pencil and with Spliff, which is their almost black, dark brown. Put that all over the eye as like a quick smoky eye. Blended the edges. I just used a brush. I think I used my Sonia G blender. I just put a little bit there, blended it up, and then I tapped those over it. And I did this the other day so that I could show you both. So Mary Jane is on one side and it's the more green one, and Callie is the other one. And I really like the effect. I think people forget that toppers are meant to be put over like a satin or a matte or by itself. A lot of people don't really like that wash of sparkle look on YouTube. I don't see very many people using those kind of topper shades or using a topper over a matte. But that is generally the best way to use those. Putting a sparkly topper over a sparkly shadow isn't really gonna do much. I have used these over the shimmers, and they do add a little bit of a sparkle, but if you really want the sparkle to be there, putting it over another sparkly shade isn't gonna do much. This is pretty sparkly as is. I don't feel the need to add more. Let me see, I'll grab a little bit of Mary Jane on my finger and I'll put it right here, and it adds a little bit more green and a little sparkle, but it doesn't really do much. And I see that a lot when there's toppers in a palette. They put them over an already sparkly shade generally, and they're like, well, it's doing nothing. I'm like, but you're already wearing a lot of sparkle. But you can see when you use them in like over liner or something like that, you really get the sparkle effect, and it's really beautiful. And I like that kind of look a lot. So I don't mind that they're there. I really appreciate it for when I want that. As far as the palette goes, I have done another look where I used Bow and Rubia so that I could try out those, and I really liked that as well. This is not, I wouldn't say this is a daily palette for me, so I'm glad I didn't spend $70 on it or whatever it costs, 68, something like that. But I really like this. I like this look. I would teach in this look. Like I said, I would wear this. I'm gonna wear this today. I really love this. I don't think it's too dark. I don't think it's too smoky. You could make it smokier. I could have used the same shades and just built them up more, or used more of the dark shade and really made it smoky, but this is like my perfect everyday smoke. It is for smoky eyes. If you don't like smoky eye, it's not worth it. And I also think it is, you know, mid to dark. There aren't really any light shades. Mari is the lightest shade, and it's not very pigmented. It's really just there to blend out like I used it. And that's what Melt says on their website. So if you don't like dark shadows and you're not gonna use these, I would say, or if you're really fair skinned and this is just too dark and smoky for you, I would say get the brunette palette, because it is also neutrals, browns, but it's very pale. Like, I won't get brunette because it's so pale. Steven got it and swatched it and was like, some of these are even too pale for me. Like, and Steven is much more fair skinned than I am. So I think you just have to know yourself, know your skin tone, know your makeup style, know what you like, and make a purchase accordingly. But I really love this look. So I'm very happy and really glad I didn't listen to all of the negativity about this. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know if you have the palette, what you think of it. I'm so happy with this look. This is my go-to daily look, either something like a matte brown smoky eye or something like this if I'm gonna use shimmer. And I wanna start doing, sometimes I do really dramatic looks because I want to, but on a day-to-day, this is more what I'm wearing. So if you'd like to see more looks like this, especially as I start revisiting old palettes, let me know in the comments below as well. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.